Are you gonna kiss the moose?
Oh, wait, where is it?
Right there. You gotta face it. Oh, perfect.
So if you're new to my channel, then you should know I am not new to Alaska. Since 2021, I've spent months of my life here, so I've definitely seen my fair share of this state. But since almost all my time here has been spent in the cold, dark winter, I wanted to see the parts of the state you can't get to in the winter. And since Alaska is almost 4,000 miles of travel each way for me, this is going to be my last time coming here for a while. So what better way to spend one last trip before I say farewell to Alaska?
It honestly feels weird being back in Alaska, especially in the summer, because the last couple times I came here, it was the dead of winter, and this time it's the complete opposite. There's no snow on the ground, it's perfect hoodie weather outside, and the best part is, this time of year we have like 16 to 18 hours of daylight per day, which is perfect because Alaska is a huge state, and this trip we have a lot to do.
Most people don't realize exactly how big Alaska is, and most maps don't really show Alaska true to scale. Let's put it this way, it's about a 4.5-hour drive to Denali from Anchorage, and look, that's all the distance you cover. Speaking of Denali though, it's probably the most popular thing in all of Alaska to come see. It used to be called Mount McKinley until they changed it back to the native name of Denali. Back in 2021, when I first came to Alaska, I did go to Denali, and I have to say, as pretty as it is, I personally think there are way better things to see in Alaska. And honestly, the prettiest part about Denali to me is the drive from Anchorage. About halfway to Denali from Anchorage is the quiet little town of Talkeetna. It's exactly what you think of when you think of small town Alaska. The mayor is actually a cat, the whole town is walkable, and it's a perfect road trip, especially if it's your first time to Alaska. We actually spent the night here last night so we wouldn't have to worry about driving all day round trip from Anchorage to Denali, and I'm really glad we did because waking up this morning to the sound of that gentle rain against the window of the hotel was so nice. First day back in Alaska, and I'm already loving it. So even though Juneau is the state capital, it's surprisingly small. It's actually broken up into two parts: the valley where all the houses are, and downtown where the main part of the city and all the cruise ships are. If you've ever been to Mackinac Island in Michigan or any of the New England port towns, it feels exactly like that, except with beautiful mountains as a backdrop. Oh, and a glacier. A big glacier called the Mendenhall Glacier. There's a lot more to see around the glacier than the internet would lead you to believe. I was only expecting to be here a couple hours, but we ended up spending most of the day here. By the time we were done hiking, it was dinner time, and the decision was unanimous: Bullwinkle's Pizza Parlor. This place reminded me exactly of what going for pizza was like in the 80s when I was a kid. Cartoons on the walls, cheesy pizza loaded as high as those mountains with toppings, and of course, an entire wall of arcade games. I mean, come on, how can you say no to all this? By the time we got back to the hotel, we had just enough energy left for a hot shower and a good night's sleep. Good morning. Just wondering when the next shuttle for downtown is leaving. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. So it's still kind of early morning in Juneau, and there's still like a blanket of fog up at the tops of the mountains. And I was going to wait till later to take the tram up to the top of the mountain because there's a hiking trail up there that takes about an hour round trip. But watching the trams disappear into the fog made me want to do it right then, because we got some really good views going up the mountain. And by the time we're done with the hiking trail, the fog should be dispersed and we should get some really good views of the city and the water going back down.
So we just came back to the hotel to grab our stuff because we actually have one more stop to make before we head to the airport to fly back to Anchorage. And this stop, if you come to Juneau, is an absolute must-do.
The Red Dog Saloon sits right in the heart of downtown, and it is 100% my kind of place. Sawdust-covered floors, the waitstaff is dressed in period clothing, piano player playing ragtime. They even have Wyatt Earp's actual gun. Apparently he checked it but never came back to get it. When you come here, make sure you do the official shot of the state of Alaska. It's called a duck fart, swear to God. Bailey's, Kahlua, and Crown Royal. It is pretty tasty, and I will be back for more, but for now, it's time to head back to Anchorage because tomorrow is going to be quite an adventure.
I wonder if she...
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Barrow, Alaska, where the local time is 5:13 p.m.
Barrow, Alaska is without a doubt more unlike anywhere I've ever been in my life. From the minute you get off the plane, you honestly forget you're still in the US. Your only reminder being their only post office. The constant winds that come blasting off the Arctic Ocean. Even in August, the temperature was only 36 degrees here. And the plane you came in on, your only way in and out, your only lifeline to this place. Watching it take off and disappear and leave you behind, I can't even explain what that feels like. Just walking around, this place feels so different. Slowly, this village is turning into a car graveyard because there's no roads in and out of Barrow, so there's nowhere for the dead cars to be sent. Everything too big to ship by plane has to come on huge ships, and there's only a very small window each year where the ocean isn't totally frozen over. And if you miss that window, you have to wait an entire year to try again. Even in the summer, the weather is so unpredictable here that sometimes the planes can't land, and your overnight trip to Barrow could turn into a week-long exile. Believe it or not though, the people here are incredibly friendly. It's a really tight community and they're very proud of this place they call home, and they're happy to share it with visitors. The man who ran the hotel and I were talking about the history of his people, and the next morning he was actually generous enough to bring us some of the native food from his own home that the Inupiat tribe has survived on here for over 1,000 years. That right there is whale blubber and whale meat. For a place so small, there's just so much to say about Barrow, but there's three things that this place is really known for. First, the polar day and polar night, where the sun doesn't set in the summer and the sun doesn't rise in the winter. And second, something I never thought in a million years I would ever do, the polar plunge into the Arctic Ocean. It is 35 degrees. I am wearing a hoodie and swim trunks and my shoes. The Arctic Ocean right there, and what better place to do the polar plunge than the North Pole, Barrow, Alaska. Jesus, take the wheel.
So what do you think? Was it worth it?
Worth it? Yes. Yeah, that was worth it. My feet are so cold. I'm walking on this gravel right now, and I can't even feel it. Like, all this, like, my legs are red. Wow. So that third thing Barrow is famous for, this is the most expensive grocery store in the US because everything that's here comes here from at least as far away as Anchorage. And I want to show you just exactly how expensive this stuff is. So let's play a little Price is Right style game. I'll show you a grocery item and you try to guess how much it costs here in Barrow. Ready? So how'd you do? You ready to move to Barrow yet? All joking aside though, I'm really glad I decided to take this trip because even though we only spent about 24 hours here, this has really been a once-in-a-lifetime experience. But it's time to head back to the airport and say goodbye to Barrow because tomorrow a whole nother adventure awaits. If you haven't noticed by now, Alaska is chock full of small towns. South of Anchorage on the Kenai Peninsula is one that you cannot miss, especially if you're looking for a good day trip. Seward sits right on the water, and it's only about a 3-hour drive from Anchorage, but you can also take the Alaska Railroad like we did. Seward has lots of little shops and seafood restaurants, and when you get seafood here, it's fresh. I don't know about you, but when I visit small waterside towns like this, I could just walk the docks and listen to the water and the seagulls all day long. And those mountains in the background, trust me, your screen is not doing these views justice right now. For $20, you can take a shuttle to see the Exit Glacier about 15 minutes outside of town, and if you're looking for great scenery, do it. And see those signs that have random years? That shows you where the foot of the glacier was that year, so you can see just how far the glaciers receded as you walk the trail. And unlike the Mendenhall Glacier in Juneau, this spot is way less trafficked, so you'll be able to really enjoy some peace and quiet.
So it's my last day in Alaska, and I was trying to think how I wanted to end this video. And then I remembered from my last Alaska video, a bunch of people reached out to me and said, oh my god, that music montage you did at the end, I loved it, with the mountains and the water. If you do another Alaska video, you have to do that again. So I thought, perfect way to end this video. So that's exactly what we're doing. Right now we're just grabbing a cup of coffee, and then we're on our way.
It's almost bittersweet saying goodbye to Alaska. Maybe it's because I've been here so much that it feels like home to me. Maybe it's because I hold a special place in my heart for this place. These mountains, these midnight sunsets, this otherworldly place. Maybe it's because most people have only ever dreamed about actually coming to Alaska, and here I feel fortunate enough to have spent months of my life here. There's a certain feeling of nostalgia when I hear people talk about Alaska, because there really is something special about this place that does make it hard for me to say goodbye. And even though it's not goodbye forever, I'm still gonna miss it. That's it for me for now. Thanks for watching.